Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence. Welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone. Today, I'm very excited to be talking to you about a brand that is based out of Australia. This is a brand that was co-founded by Jeffrey Darling and Sarah Blair. It's called Map of the Heart. And given the Memorial Day weekend, I thought it would be very apropos for me to review a fragrance of theirs that came out in 2016. This one is called Purple Heart version 5. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my fragrance review of Map of the Heart Purple Heart version 5, and I tell you all about this fragrance, the inspiration behind it, what it smells like, what I get from the performance of it, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, if you like fragrance reviews here on YouTube, but also top 10 lists, giveaways, unboxings, and more, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner. And of course, while you're at it, please be sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell icon. I also want to mention that this is a cafleurebon contributor review. I'm very happy, fortunate, and privileged to have the opportunity to be a video contributing journalist for cafleurebon.com. And this bottle was provided to me for review, but all opinions will remain my own. Now, there is going to be a full bottle giveaway attached to this video. So if you are interested in entering for your chance to win a full-size bottle, all of the information is going to be down below in the description section. You must go over to cafleurebon.com. Best of luck to everyone. This is an international giveaway. I hope you win. I have my fingers crossed for you. Now, of course, this is version 5, and like I said, it came out in 2016, and it's called Purple Heart. Now, the Purple Heart medal is a medal that is given to U.S. soldiers for acts of valor, and so sometimes they compromise their own safety to perform this valorous and courageous act. And I think that that's a beautiful concept for this fragrance, especially given the times that we're living in, and of course, with this being Memorial Day weekend, I thought it would be very apropos for me to review this fragrance. Now, the designer of the bottle is Pierre Denard, and he's actually done tons of designs out there. You might be familiar with the original Opium by Yves Saint Laurent. The perfumer for this fragrance is Jacques Couklier, and Jacques Couklier is a senior perfumer. His resume really speaks for itself. I'm going to leave his information down below as well so you can check him out, but he's such an accomplished perfumer. And when he was approached to work on this project, the co-founders of the company said to him, we want to start with a fragrance that opens up rather dark to sort of convey this element of danger, and then it becomes brighter towards the end. So in essence, we would be flipping the perfume pyramid. And he said to them, I'm a perfumer, not a magician, which I actually found to be kind of funny. But then, of course, he was totally on board and he thought it was an amazing idea. So this fragrance actually has a purple ink accord in it, which I think is so unique. So you have the licorice, you have the plum, but then you also have some floral tendencies in the heart with the violet and the rose, and it dries down to this amazingly warm yet spicy, decadently sweet fragrance with that inky note that I was talking about, which is also present from the very opening of this fragrance. But I'm very excited to give you my thoughts on this fragrance. I hope you get a chance to win the full-size bottle. Again, all of the information is going to be down below, and this is one of my best discoveries for the year 2021. I can't believe that I've been so late to the party with this one. I'm really excited to give you my thoughts on the smell. Let's start things off with the presentation. So in the opening of this fragrance, you have this burst of inky sweetness. And I know that that's kind of a weird descriptor, but it opens up with this dark accord with that ink note or that ink accord that's being utilized in the fragrance. But you also have this interplay between the plum and the cherry in the opening. So it's very sweet, it's flavorful, it's a little tart at the same time. But from a synesthetic standpoint, it kind of conveys like this purple nuance about it. And I promise you, it's not just the color of the bottle and the name influencing me. I think it's a combination of the plum and the licorice and the violet and a lot of these purple nuances in here that are sort of giving off that impression, and I think it's really unique. It's something that really stands out in the opening, and it's a sweetness that is quite different from other sweet fragrances that I've tried in the past. Now, you are going to get a bit of licorice in here, but it's not like a black licorice. It's not ultra dark, or it's not overly spicy to the point that it's cloying or anything like that. I think it actually strikes a really nice balance with the plum and the cherry to sort of give it this delightfully fruity introduction that I think is really sitting at the heart of the fragrance. Now, of course, as it begins to progress, you do have this combination of violet and rose, and the rose that's in here is a little bit more on the tame side. I think the violet really comes through, and it's definitely a contributor to that purple accord, if you will, but it opens up in this dark, sort of dangerous fashion, this mysterious fashion, if you will, and I think that ink note has a lot to do with it. Now, there are some other fragrances that utilize kind of like an inky accord, if you think of like Encre Noir by Lalique, but this one is totally different, really doing its own thing. And then as it begins to settle down, it begins to become so much warmer with that Australian sandalwood that's in here, the warmth of that resinous amber that's being used in the base, and of course vanilla is kind of in the spotlight as far as that amber is concerned, because amber is a fantasy accord. It's really just a combination of vanilla and various resins, but you do have the vanilla in here that's contributing to that sweetness just as much as the sandalwood is, of course. So the one thing that I love, especially as someone who is such a big fan of gourmand fragrances, is that this fragrance is sweet from top to bottom, but in the most unique way. So it opens up with that sweetness from the cherry and the plum and those licoricey star anise nuances, and then as it begins to dry down, you have the vanilla and the sandalwood and the amber, and let's not forget tonka bean as well. And tonka bean sometimes can have a little bit of like an almondy nuance, and perhaps I'm getting a little bit of that in here, but it's not enough to overshadow that tart fruity sweetness of the cherry and the plum. And I personally love fragrances that contain plum in them because I think it's such an unconventional fruity note, but it was also the perfect note to include in this fragrance that from a synesthetic standpoint, gives it that purple vibe or that purple nuance. I think it's a very well put together fragrance, and if you are familiar with Jacques Couclier's body of work, you will know exactly what this fragrance is all about in terms of the sweetness, in terms of that quirkiness that's being used in here. There's also something a little bit earthy in the dry down. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I know Jacques Couclier has a propensity of using notes like patchouli in the dry down of a lot of his fragrances, so maybe there's a touch of that, but there's certainly a resolute quality in the base that contributes to the longevity of the perfume. And so despite the fact that it opens up a little bit on the dark side and eventually veers into lighter territory, that doesn't compromise the longevity at all. On my skin, I'm still getting upwards of like 8 or 9 hours, but just keep in mind that some of the more volatile aspects of the fragrance, like perhaps the violet and that licoricey nuance, will begin to diffuse and die out, and then eventually what's left over, it's kind of like the vanilla, the sandalwood, some of those woods, and that verdant quality that I spoke about earlier. But this is such an awesome fragrance, especially as a lover of gourmand perfumes, ones containing, you know, plum and licorice and some of those unconventional sweet ingredients. I love this fragrance so much, and I really, really hope you have an opportunity to check this fragrance out. Once again, all of the information is going to be down below if you are interested in learning more about this fragrance. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, while I have smelled some other fragrances out there that contain licorice and plum and sandalwood and vanilla and rose and all of these ingredients, the combination of the ingredients and the aesthetic of the fragrance and what it's meant and intended to evoke is so different. And so that's why I find this to be really unique, and I'm such a fan of the overall smell. Just to reiterate a point that I made earlier, I do consider this to be one of my best discoveries for the year 2021, and I'm so happy that I have this in my collection. I can see myself wearing this a lot over the next few months, despite the fact that it might be getting a little bit warmer outside. It's actually cool today. In terms of the longevity, you can expect upwards of 8 or 9 hours. The projection was really good for the first 2 hours of application, and then it does start to sit closer to the skin around that 6.5 to 7 hour mark, but it's not until that 8th or 9th hour of application or wear wear that it will finally begin to disappear, but it does stick with you. It will get you through an entire workday. In terms of the versatility of the fragrance, I can see anybody wearing this fragrance, men or women. I think this one can be worn casually, but I think it can also be worn formally as well. There's something about the spiciness that makes me want to wear it when the weather is a little bit cold outside. However, if you are wearing it indoors in a climate controlled environment, you can pretty much wear this one whenever you want. These are just recommendations at the end of the day. And in terms of the presentation, the thought, the name, the design of it, everything that went into it, I think is really quite beautiful. My final verdict on this fragrance is, if you are a fan of fragrances that are spicy, sweet, nuances of licorice, plum, almost like almondy at the time because of the tonka bean that's in the base, but really delightful from start to finish, definitely check this out. This is truly a work of art. I think this is a masterful creation by Jacques Couclier. Very fortunate to have had the opportunity to have this one in my collection and also review it for my subscribers. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate your time. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everyone. That was my review of Map of the Heart Purple Heart version 5. If you own or have tried this fragrance before, please let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you are new to this channel and you took something of value from this video, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. Again, that red button is down below, and also make sure to give it a like for the YouTube algorithm. And best of luck on entering the full bottle giveaway. All of the details, once again, are going to be down below in the description section. Make sure to go to cafleurebon.com, read through the article to find out how you can enter to win. Thanks again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you soon. Bye.